So here's a question for you, and I want you to really think about this for a second. Have you ever been driving somewhere, maybe on a weekend, maybe after work, and you suddenly find yourself somewhere completely different than where you intended to go? Maybe you ended up at your office on a Saturday. Maybe you drove to your old apartment instead of your new place. Maybe you took the route to drop your kids at their old school. If you're nodding right now, or if you just had that, oh my God, yes moment, welcome to today's episode. Because what happened to you in that car, that wasn't a mistake. That was your brain being too efficient for your own good. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into something that affects every single decision you make, every single day: cognitive bias. Stick with me, because by the end of this episode, you're going to understand your own mind in a completely different way. Let me paint you a picture. It's Saturday morning. You're running a bit late. You need to pick something up across town. Maybe you're meeting a friend for coffee. Maybe you've got an errand to run. You grab your keys, jump in the car, and your mind starts wandering. You're thinking about your plans for the day, maybe replaying a conversation from yesterday, maybe running through your to-do list, and then it happens. 15 minutes later, you're sitting in your office parking lot on a Saturday morning, staring at an empty building, wondering, how in the world did I get here? Now, here's what's fascinating about this moment, and I really want you to think about this. This isn't about being forgetful. This isn't about not paying attention. This is actually your brain being incredibly, almost suspiciously efficient. Your mind went into autopilot mode. It recognized a pattern. You get in the car, you drive somewhere, and it filled in the blanks with the most familiar route it knew. Your conscious mind was busy thinking about other things, so your subconscious took the wheel, literally. And this, my friend, is cognitive bias in action. Now, before we go any further, I want you to know something. This isn't happening just in your car. These mental shortcuts, these automatic patterns, they're running in the background of every relationship decision, every career choice, every purchase you make, even how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. Today, we're going behind the curtain of your own mind to understand how it works, and more importantly, how to work with it instead of against it. What is cognitive bias? So let's start with the basics. What exactly is cognitive bias? Think of it this way. Cognitive bias is your brain taking shortcuts without asking for permission first. It's when your mind deviates from perfectly logical, rational thinking and instead relies on these mental shortcuts that psychologists call heuristics. Now, here's a number that's going to blow your mind. Every single day, you're bombarded with approximately 11 million bits of information per second. 11 million. But here's the kicker. You can only consciously process about 40 of those bits. Think about that ratio for a second. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose while only being able to swallow drops at a time. So your brilliant brain, and I mean this, your brain is absolutely brilliant, developed a survival strategy. Instead of trying to carefully analyze every single piece of information, every single decision, it started pattern matching based on things like your past experiences, your familiar habits, your emotional associations, and quick assumptions. And here's what I find absolutely fascinating about this. Cognitive bias isn't a design flaw. It's not something wrong with you. It's actually a feature, not a bug. These mental shortcuts helped our ancestors survive. When they heard rustling in the bushes, they didn't stop to analyze whether it might be the wind or a predator. They ran first and asked questions later, and that kept them alive. These same shortcuts help you make thousands of decisions every single day, without your brain completely exhausting itself. Can you imagine if you had to consciously decide how to tie your shoes every morning, or how to hold a conversation, or which route to take to work? But here's where it gets tricky. The same system that helps you function efficiently can also lead you completely astray, like driving to work on a Saturday when you're meant to go grocery shopping. And here's the universal truth that I want you to really absorb. Everyone has cognitive biases. Everyone. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how educated you are, how self-aware you think you are. If you have a human brain, you have cognitive biases. It's just part of the package. The big three biases. Now, let me introduce you to three of the biggest troublemakers living rent-free in your head. I like to think of them as characters in your mental drama. First up, we have confirmation bias. I call him the yes man. The yes man's job is to seek out information that agrees with what you already believe, while conveniently ignoring or dismissing anything that contradicts those beliefs. Here's how this plays out in real life. Let's say you really believe that your favorite politician is honest and trustworthy. The yes man makes sure you primarily consume news sources that support that view. When negative coverage comes up, he whispers in your ear, "That's just biased media or fake news." Your social media feed becomes this perfect echo chamber where everyone thinks exactly like you do, and you become more and more extreme in your views. The scary part? You don't even realize it's happening. Next, we have anchoring bias, the first impression obsessive. This character gets completely stuck on the first piece of information you encounter about anything. Picture this, you're shopping and you see a jacket with a price tag that says originally $200, now on sale for $100. The first impression. Obsessive immediately thinks, wow, what a deal. I'm saving $100. But if you had done some research, you might have discovered that identical jackets at other stores cost $60. That original $200 price anchored your perception of what the jacket was worth, even though it was completely artificial. This happens in salary negotiations, house purchases, any kind of bargaining. Whatever number you hear first becomes the reference point for everything else. And finally, we have the availability heuristic. I call her the drama queen. The drama queen judges how likely something is to happen, based purely on how easily you can remember examples of it happening. Here's a perfect example that I think we can all relate to. You're watching the news and there's a story about a plane crash. It's dramatic, it's tragic, it sticks in your mind. Now, the drama queen makes you terrified to fly, even though statistically you're much more likely to be injured or killed in a car accident on your daily commute. But car accidents are common and boring. They don't make for compelling news stories. Plane crashes are rare but memorable. So your fear becomes completely disconnected from the actual statistical risk. Now, as I'm describing these, I want you to think about which one resonates most with you, because I guarantee you've experienced all three of these in just the past week. The transformation. Okay, so here's where this gets really exciting. Understanding cognitive bias doesn't just make you smarter about other people. It literally transforms how you think about everything. When you start to understand these patterns, you develop what psychologists call metacognition, which is basically thinking about thinking. It's like installing a security camera in your own brain so you can watch your thoughts in real time. Let me tell you what changes when you develop this awareness. Before you understand bias, you will react automatically to information. Your emotions drive decisions without you even realizing it. You mistake your feelings for facts. First impressions become permanent judgments. After you develop bias awareness, something beautiful happens. You start to pause and ask yourself, wait, what am I assuming here? You begin to recognize when your emotions are hijacking your logic. You actively start seeking out evidence that contradicts what you want to believe. You question your own certainty. This gives you what I like to call a critical thinking toolkit. First, you develop what I call the pause button. Instead of reacting instantly to information, you create space to ask, is this just confirmation bias talking? That simple pause transforms knee-jerk reactions into thoughtful analysis. Second, You develop a devil's advocate mindset. You automatically start asking, what evidence would prove me wrong? This flips you from defending your positions to genuinely investigating what's true. Third, you become an emotion detective. Strong emotional reactions, whether positive or negative, become red flags instead of green lights. When you see a news story that makes you really angry and want to share it immediately, that's exactly when you pause and fact check first. And finally, you develop what I call the outsider test. When you're facing a difficult decision, you ask yourself, if my best friend were in this exact situation, what would I advise them to do? We're almost always clearer about other people's situations than our own. Practical strategies. So let me give you some concrete strategies you can start using today. I want you to remember the acronym STOP. When you're facing any important decision, especially one that feels emotional or urgent. S, slow down and pause. T, think about what biases might be at play. O, open yourself to opposing viewpoints. P, process the decision after a cooling off period. Here's another technique I love, the 10-10-10 rule. Ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years? This helps you get past short-term emotional bias and think about longer-term consequences. Now, I also want to give you some daily practices that can really strengthen your bias awareness muscle. Every morning, ask yourself, what assumption am I making about today? Throughout the day, when you're making decisions, pause and ask, what bias might be influencing this choice right now? And every evening, do a quick review. Where did my thinking go wrong today and why? Now let's talk about something that's really amplifying our biases in the modern world. Social media and our digital information diet. The algorithms that power Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, they're designed to show you content that confirms your existing beliefs, because that keeps you engaged and scrolling. These platforms are basically confirmation bias amplifiers. So here's what I want you to do. Actively seek out people who disagree with you, but who disagree respectfully. Follow news sources across different parts of the political spectrum. Read books that challenge your worldview. In conversations, try asking more questions instead of making statements. Diversify your information diet the same way you diversify your financial portfolio. Conclusion. Let me bring us back to where we started, the empty office parking lot on Saturday morning. I want you to think of bias awareness as installing GPS for your thinking. The old way was like this. Your mental autopilot would take you to familiar destinations, even when they were completely wrong for what you actually needed. The new way is this. You're alert to when autopilot kicks in, and you can choose to override it when necessary. But here's the beautiful paradox that I want to leave you with today. The more you understand how your brain tricks you, the more you can actually trust it. You're not trying to become some perfectly rational, emotionless robot. You're becoming a human being who can dance consciously with both logic and intuition. Someone who knows when emotions are clouding judgment and when gut feelings are pointing toward truth. Your brain is not the enemy here. It's a powerful ally that brought you this far in life. Sometimes it just needs gentle course correction. So the next time you find yourself somewhere unexpected, whether that's literally in the wrong parking lot or metaphorically in a situation you didn't plan for, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what mental shortcut did my brain take to get me here? And then choose your next destination consciously. Because that's not just better thinking, that's freedom. Thanks for spending these few minutes with me today, exploring the fascinating landscape of your own mind. Until next time, keep thinking about your thinking.